It's Monday, the 11th of April. I'm Laura Cornfield, and this is IBA News broadcasting from Jerusalem. Ahead of the Passover holiday and in an effort to prevent an upsurge in violence, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu reiterated his ban to all government ministers and politicians, asking them to refrain from visiting the Temple Mount compound. Jewish and Arab lawmakers were informed the site would continue to be off limits to them. The Shin Bet security agency, who submitted a report yesterday to Netanyahu showing a sharp decrease in terror attacks, warned violence could be reignite over religious tensions if lawmakers visit the site. Netanyahu first issued a ban last October following the eruption of clashes on the Temple Mount and Palestinians accusing Israel of attempting to take control of the holy site. The Prime Minister also called for the jailing of the head of the extremist northern branch of the Islamic movement in Israel, Sheikh Raed Salah, whom Netanyahu called a one-man explosive capable of igniting tensions at the site. A new Arab movement was declared in Nazareth today, founded by senior members of the northern branch of the Islamic movement in Israel, which was outlawed by the government in November of last year. The new group, called the Party of Faithfulness and Reform, is currently headed by Sheikh Raed Salah's deputy. Activists said that for now the movement is not parliamentarian and has no plans to get involved with local authorities. The group claims it is not a continuation of the domestic Islamic movement, which was declared an illegal organization. However, its platform is similar, calling for the establishment of a Palestinian state with Jerusalem as its capital and warning of the so-called constant threat of Israeli rule over the Al-Aqsa Mosque. A state-of-the-art system providing Israeli residents living in close proximity to Gaza with a 15-second warning of incoming mortar fire will be deployed by the end of the month along the border. Once operational, the new radar alert system will give residents 15 seconds to seek shelter before the mortar shells explode. Up until now, the code red alert system gave warning of incoming rocket fire, but proved to be ineffective in its ability to alert against incoming mortar attacks. Development of the system began after Operation Protective Edge in 2014, when, during the 50-day conflict, mortar shells proved to be one of the most deadliest means of attack and claimed the lives of at least 10 soldiers and 3 Israeli civilians and a foreign national. The project cost an estimated 500 million shekels. The Israeli company Rafael, the developer of defense systems for land, air, and sea, is set to unveil its drone dome system designed to detect, identify, track, and neutralize enemy drones. The company plans to unveil its latest asset at the international exhibition LAD Security 2016, taking place in Brazil. The dome drone has a radar jamming system and the ability to cover a radius of up to 3 kilometers and down enemy drones dispatched to Israel to collect intelligence or attack. As part of Rafael's strategy to forge partnerships with international companies, they will place a joint stand with a Brazilian global provider, Stefanini, at the expo. Other systems Rafael will display include a battlefield simulation system for headquarters training. Chief of Staff Lieutenant General Gadi Eisenkot embarked on an official working visit to Italy today as the guest of his Italian counterpart, General Claudio Graziano. Eisenkot will discuss the situation in the Middle East and the security challenges facing Israel, as well as military and defense cooperation between the two countries. Deputy Chief of Staff Major General Yair Golan will step in during Eisenkot's absence. There are conflicting reports over whether Iran received the first delivery of the Russian S-300 missile defense system today. A statement released by the Iranian Foreign Ministry this morning said part of the equipment arrived in the country and the delivery of additional parts is forthcoming. The country's foreign ministry spokesman said the delivery came through the Caspian Sea. However, shortly after, Iran retracted the report, saying that the first phase of the contract had been implemented without supplying further details. The Islamic Republic said it originally signed a deal with Russia to purchase the system in 2007, but Russia suspended the agreement following pressure from the United States and Israel. In November last year, Moscow and Tehran signed a new deal to receive an upgraded version of the missile system. Israel views the missile defense system as a game changer, and last year Benjamin Netanyahu warned Moscow that the sale of the system to Iran would strengthen Tehran's aggressive behavior and undermine stability in the Middle East. And joining us in our Tel Aviv studio is Liami Lawrence, founder of the KeepoLehman Israel movement. Thank you so much for joining us, Liami.
Thank you for having me. Shalom.
Hi. First, you've worked in a wide array of jobs in your life, ranging from male stripper, underwear model, bouncer, actor, to radio talk show, personal trainer, and media consultant. Quite a long list. Yet you found your calling in life by creating the KeepoLehman Israel movement. Tell us a little bit about your organization.
Sure. So I made Aliyah 18 months ago, and after 9 months I was leaving the country, and I got very upset, so I went to Facebook. I started a group on Facebook, and within 5 days, 3,000 people joined my group. And it became a huge group. What started as KeepoLehman in Israel became KeepoLehman the nonprofit, and we turned like all the negativity into a positive message, and we have lots of programs. We want to be the post-Aliyah group for Olim.
Liami, what are the main problems new immigrants encounter when they move to Israel?
First of all, there's lack of jobs, lack of Hebrew. Your finances run out. It's all good, well and good that they bring us here, but then they drop us off like a hot potato. So our goal is to get people integrated into Israeli society. We have programs like an Adopt an Oleh, where an Oleh coming off the plane will get an Israeli to help them to become their friend. We have programs like we're doing next week for Passover, no Oleh alone, that Israelis will open up their houses and adopt an Oleh to sit at their Passover table. Okay? We have social events. We have free legal counseling. We offer free legal counseling for any Oleh Chadash that's been in Israel less than a year. Okay? We have mental health. We're starting mental health counseling, which is a very big thing. 1/3 of all suicides in Israel are Olim Chadashim. So we're starting mental health counseling first through support groups, like self-help support groups, followed by individualized counseling. We have like 20, 30 psychologists in every language that are going to work with us.
All of this is volunteer work, or do you pay them for their services?
Right now, everything is volunteer. We've been raising money. We're completely independent.
Do you get any sponsorship by the government? Any financial
We get nothing
help?
from anybody. We have 300 donors that have stepped up to the plate and donated money, including someone that donated 100,000 shekels to us.
Wow.
Okay? All of us are volunteers. 3 weeks ago, I started taking a salary of 7,000 shekels because I couldn't live on air. In
your opinion, Liami, how many new immigrants decide to return to their countries of origin after realizing Israel is not the country of their dreams?
I have a list of 50 friends, 50 people that I know, 50 friends that have left in the 18 months that I've been here. The Nefesh B'Nefesh is 7%, the Sachnutz is 12%, and Liami is going to say, from the Western countries, I will proudly say that half the Olim leave within 4-5 years. And that's disgraceful, okay? We have Jews sitting here from Argentina and Brazil that are waiting to immigrate, but they were here 20, 30 years ago and left the country. And they're sitting here wanting to try again, and they're getting no help. We have Ethiopians sitting in Ethiopia. We are giving so much attention to 2,000-3,000 Americans and Canadians that make Aliyah, and half of them leave because it's just a little bit more money of support services. We're not asking for money, financial money to give to Olim so they could go and buy things. That's not what we're asking for. We're asking for help. So we are going to provide mental health counseling, activities, social programs, free legal advice, adopt an Oleh, which is what we're doing now. No Oleh alone for Passover. If your listeners want to adopt an Oleh for Passover, go to our website, keepolim.org, and adopt one. We're like beautiful dogs. We're just waiting to be adopted.
Liami, one last quick question. What advice do you have for those debating to make Aliyah to Israel?
I encourage. Last night I was on the phone with a guy from America, from Denver, who is thinking about Aliyah, who reads about what we keep it real in our group. On our group on Facebook, KeepoLehman in Israel movement has 24,000 people on Facebook. Okay? We keep it real. You're going to hear the real things and not the sugar-coated things. So I convinced him, he's going to make a pilot trip in May. I convinced this guy, and he's going to move here this summer. And the thing is, I want all Olim to come here. It's terrible that we have Olim from France who waved the flag with Bibi at the airport and are now back in Paris 8 months later.
Liami Lawrence from KeepoLehman Israel. Thank you so much for
Thank
joining
you
us,
for
and the
having
best
me.
of luck.
Shalom.
Shalom.
Todah.
In other news, hundreds of Israeli residents, including poultry farmers from the north of the country, protested today against a reform submitted by Agricultural Minister Uri Ariel, calling to import millions of eggs each year from abroad. At the stormy demonstration that took place in Avivim in the Upper Galilee, protesters confronted Deputy Minister Yaron Mazuz, who called them scum, but later apologized. The protesters threw water on him and held signs saying the government has no balls, which is a play on the Hebrew word for eggs, and we are the country's bulletproof vest. They demanded that the government allow them to earn a decent living while also providing fair prices to the public. For his part, the agricultural minister believes the move will open up the market to competition and lead to the lowering of prices, but he stressed that such a step will be carried out only after direct negotiations with producers and their representatives. At least 3 Palestinians were killed when an underground tunnel collapsed in the Rafah area of the Gaza Strip. Hamas last night imposed a complete ban on the incident, preventing further details from being published. According to Palestinian media reports, it is the 11th such incident in the past 3 months. Earlier yesterday, the Egyptian army reportedly destroyed a tunnel on its side of the border with Gaza. It is unclear if it caused the same tunnel to collapse on the Palestinian side. Last week, it was reported that Hamas employs some 1,000 operatives in its tunnel digging industry, shelling out hundreds of thousands of dollars for their salaries alone. Saudi Arabia and Egypt have signed an agreement to build a bridge over the Red Sea, connecting the two countries. The Saudi Arabian King Salman made the announcement in a rare 5-day visit to Egypt at a meeting with Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi in Cairo. Calling the move a historic step, the Saudi king said connecting the two continents will increase trade between the two countries to unprecedented levels. The idea of a bridge was first raised in the 1980s by former Egyptian President Hosni Mubarak, but it never got past the planning stages. However, several plans depicting the route of the bridge in the past suggested a 32-kilometer span across the Straits of Tiran at the entrance of the Red Sea's Gulf of Aqaba that would allow a commute between the two countries in just 20 minutes. The U.S. Navy is leading a 34-nation maritime exercise across Middle Eastern waters aimed at protecting international trade routes against possible attacks by al-Qaeda or Islamic State terrorists and other jihadi groups. The exercise, which is partly being held in the Gulf, comes as tensions run high between Gulf Arab countries and Iran over its role in the region, especially over the Islamic Republic's support for President Assad's regime in Syria, Hezbollah in Lebanon, and the Houthis in Yemen. The exercise, dubbed the International Mine Countermeasures Exercise, kicked off last week with a symposium in Bahrain where the U.S. Navy's Fifth Fleet is based.
We believe that the threat from non-state actors to international commerce is real, and by doing this exercise that we can help mitigate it. We look at non-state actors that have potential capabilities to disrupt sea traffic as ranging from the ones that you've seen, from al-Qaeda to ISIS, and even to the Houthis that are a rebel force in Yemen. All could potentially have capabilities to reach out into the maritime domain. And so that's one of the threats that we work this exercise against in particular.
Hundreds of bird watchers from all over the world took to the desert to participate in a 24-hour Spot the Bird competition aimed at raising money for preservation of their feathered friends. Bird lovers gathered near Eilat last week to take part in the 3rd annual championship of the Flyway race. Teams scouted the desert, searching and identifying as many bird species as possible. The $70,000 raised in this year's race was dedicated to preventing the illegal killing and capturing of birds in Greece and was transferred to the Hellenic Ornithology Society.
It's great, you know, they're raising money for a good cause. I mean, you can't believe in this day and age all the persecution that still goes on in the world about the birds migrating through. So hopefully this will raise the profile and much needed money to try and stop it.
It's very exciting to be here and to, well, of course, to new species for me, but also to see the amazing migration that happens in Israel. I'm very grateful to Israel that protect this species and allow this haven of birds to exist.
In local money matters, shares were up in late afternoon trading on the Tel Aviv Stock Exchange, while the shekel was mixed in foreign currency trading. Here are the numbers. Turning to the weather, well, get out your raincoats. A significant drop in temperatures tomorrow with rain predicted from the north to the south of the country. Here are the highs and lows for the next 24 hours at home and abroad. And that's all for this newscast. Thanks for joining us. I'm Laura Cornfield, wishing you a wonderful evening, and shalom from Jerusalem.